Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Spitball. I'm here with my good buddy,
Kyle Amundsen.
And today we have Matt McCormick in the house. How you doing, Matt?
Pretty good. Yourself?
You get up to that goddamn microphone, boy, or I'm going to yell at you.
Also known as Ogre McCormick.
Mm-hmm. How'd you get that name?
I gave it to him.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
You know, I thought it was funny. I enjoyed the irony because Matt's like smart and kind of soft-spoken, but looks like, you know, like a fucking, you know, like the guy you don't want to be your cellmate or something if you go to jail.
Right.
So I was like, Ogre, fuck yeah, perfect.
I was kind of excited to have you on because you have such a sexy voice, and I was just wondering if you could get into the microphone and say, it puts the lotion on the skin.
Nope.
God damn it.
Shit. I think he's heard that before.
Well, I think I told you this before, but a long time ago, I found out that they had synthesized human skin. Like they had come up with a way to synthesize human skin, and I was like, oh my God. So I immediately went out and bought the domain name Buffalo Bills Purse Emporium. And then the tagline was, it puts the lotion on the skin. And then I was like, I'm going to get a hold of Matt and see if he will do like a voiceover for me for this commercial that I'm going to launch. Then come to find out, you just can't buy human skin. Even when it's synthetic, it's actually like something you have to like you just can't go, and I just figured you could pick it up at Costco. Seems like bullshit.
Fucking government protecting us from ourselves.
Yeah. Yep. So that was another failed business. I've had a few. Yeah.
You know.
But goddamn, I just thought those things would sell themselves. Human skin purses.
Oh, man. Is that Louis Vuitton? No, it's Steven Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
Would that be a step up from sheepskin condoms?
Oh, yeah. It slights it out. Yeah. Man, it's human skin. Human skin purses. Brilliant. It puts the lotion on the skin.
Shit.
So how was your week, Kyle?
My week was good. You know, I got a little bit of my masculinity back after doing sets with 135 after that carpal tunnel surgery, which is fucking brutal. You know, bumped that up a bit, and had a good work. Had a good week in the gym. Got a lot of stuff done. Yeah. Got some stuff down to the store. And
since last time we met, we went down to Brujitsu.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
Brujitsu was awesome.
This has been a little bit. So today we're filming on Sunday, and typically we film on Tuesdays and then don't release till Sunday. But we had a little bit of a longer stretch this time. So since the last time we met, we went down to Minneapolis with Cody
and Josh.
Josh, which is a hell of an experience. Man, these two fucking idiots are like punching each other while they're driving. And I'm like, Cody, don't punch the driver. God damn it. That shouldn't even have to be a rule. And I'm like, they're fucking children. By the time I got back, I was just exhausted, and it was mostly from them. But Brujitsu was cool. It was a big jiu-jitsu tournament down at the Fulton Brewery. And it was cool. It was a little long. That was a lot of matches.
There was a lot of matches.
It was hard to continue to even though I'm interested in jiu-jitsu and I after so many matches, I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. But
it was also, you know, like a lot of guys, you know, pulling guard and stuff like that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was chapped about that. So, and I don't want to get too fucking geeky in jiu-jitsu, but there's a new, not new even, but pulling guard has been around in the game for a long time. And it makes sense to do in some cases, especially if you know that you're going against a guy who's got a good takedown and is more than likely going to get the takedown. They're going to get 2 points for that. And I'm okay with pulling guard. But I am not okay with sitting to guard. Where these motherfuckers come out there, they bow, and then they sit their ass down. Fuck you. I think you need to lose points for that. And it was way over half the matches, one guy sat down and didn't and that's not pulling guard, that's sitting to guard, and that's a completely different thing.
Well, you know that, but in a way, it kind of gets back to that. I don't know, it's not my world, but it seems like there's kind of the difference in mindset between like tournament, like tournament jiu-jitsu guy
Yeah.
and like fighter, most fighters.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in it, that whole don't lose thing, that mentality lends itself to that, sometimes you see guys in those things that look like they're more concerned with not losing than winning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
But I don't know if it makes any sense.
Find it bullshit. And then you have somebody like Philip, my buddy, who is been training for a long time with me, and
I was impressed with him.
Motherfucker is awesome. He's just 18. He went out there, he blasted his opponent to the ground, he passed his guard, he got his side mount points, then he went to knee mount, got his knee mount points, took the kids back and bow and arrow choked him. That's how you win a fucking jiu-jitsu match.
And he moves I assumed that kid was a wrestler.
No, never wrestled in his life.
And see, I watch him and I'm like, he looks like, he moves, the way he moves and everything, I'm like, he's kind of a natural wrestler,
So he never wrestled in school,
which is
or anything.
Like George St. Pierre, like some guys just have that.
But you also have to remember that Philip has been doing jiu-jitsu since he was, 13 maybe. And he has been doing wrestling, really, really hardcore jiu-jitsu wrestling with Brock like 3 times a week for a long time. So to say he's only 18 years old. So to say he's not a wrestler is not really fair. He just has never wrestled in school. But I would think he could walk on any team and do pretty well in the state. But yeah, he's an awesome kid, man. He is really good. Someday I'd like to have him on because he's done some world championship jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff like that. But I just like his philosophy, the go out there and fucking win philosophy rather than the go out there and sit to guard and play. It was irritating. And there was just a lot of it in that tournament. I was like, wah.
Yeah.
So, but that said, Fulton Brewery, awesome place, really, really good beer. And they did a really good job with the tournament. I mean, I thought it was fun.
Yeah. One of the cool things about that day, and it didn't really hit me until later, was that Brock Larson had a couple of guys there that he was cornering, coaching. What do you call it?
Cornering. Sure.
And not all the people there, like it's a brewery. Not all those people are, grappling people. They're not in that world. They don't necessarily know who the hell Brock is if they're not, involved in that. So Brock comes up. We're standing in line because the seminar went long, and it went really long. So we're standing outside. We went and had some drinks. Came back, still standing outside, hanging out there. In line, and Brock goes up there, and they, the person that he talked to, he's like, "Hey, I got a couple fighters in there, blah blah blah." Didn't really know what was going on. They didn't have like a list, and they didn't know who Brock was. And Brock was like, "Cool, I'll just be over here." Don't fuss.
Right.
Just comes and sits. Yeah, just comes and hangs out with us, and moves along with us. In the line and stuff. And then when we all get up there, we're just spectators. So we get to the table, like the will call list and stuff, and we go our way, and Brock goes his. Now, a lot of guys, especially guys that have ridiculously, I know he just got back from Moscow cornering Tony and stuff, a lot of guys in his situation, and with a busy schedule like him, might not have handled it with such, class.
Right.
But Brock's not, to us, Brock's like, we look at Brock and we're like, you could have just, told him, hey, we'll go get somebody, that knows what's going on and get me in here,
Right.
Nah. Brock doesn't give a shit about like that. That's not his style. He just hangs out with us outside, and because he's nobody special in his mind.
Right. I think that's exactly it. I feel like sometimes we talk a little bit too much about how awesome Brock is, but I don't know if you can talk too much about how awesome Brock.
You know what? He happens to be fucking awesome.
Danny is willing. We had on a couple of weeks ago, and after you left, we sat here and talked till 11 o'clock. I mean, at one point I'm like, Danny, you gotta go, man. I'm gonna fall asleep. But we could just talk and talk and talk. But he was telling me how he's been teaching a ton down in St. Cloud. In the summer, Brock wanted to take a little more time off and spend with his family and stuff. But so Danny would be teaching his, whatever it would be, Wednesday afternoons or whatever. And then, but every once in a while, Brock would still show up. It's because he was, down or whatever. And then he's like, yeah, it was really weird because Brock would just show up and he would just line up and he'd just do the class. And I'm like, dude, you want to teach? And he's like, no, hell no. I don't want to teach. And then he would just do whatever Danny was doing. And I was like, that takes a special type of person that's willing to just learn whatever you're going to teach, even though he's, far
He's
more
your teacher.
experienced. Yeah, he's your teacher. He's just like, no, I want to see what you got. And it wasn't like he was testing Danny. He was just really like, oh no, I'm glad to not have to do it. Yeah, he'll just grab a guy and be a partner. And yeah, he's a humble dude. It's
yeah, fun. That's the best way I can, the best way to describe it. He's just humble.
Yeah. So as usual, we like to have guests on and then ignore them for 20, 25
right.
minutes. But yeah,
he's a wallflower at this point.
You're just so Matt. What do you do? What's your life?
I sleep, I wake up, go to the gym, then I go to work. I nurse in mental health and also cover some other specialties as needed at the clinic.
Yeah? Cool. So you're a bit of a gym rat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't tell.
It wasn't always thus. Matt has kind of transformed himself over the years. How much, so I met, how long has it been, how long have we known each other?
I think 8 years now, 7 years.
Oh, at least 8 years, yeah. But before I met Matt, he just lost a bunch of weight. At one point you were, how heavy were you at your heaviest?
350, 360.
350. And was so mostly it's been a body composition, change. Because it was, before you just gamed and ate shitty foods. And so when I met Matt, you'd met Isaac first.
Yep.
And then you showed up at the gym, and my first conversation with Matt was like an interview. The whole time, Matt's like me, easy to read. And the whole time Matt's kind of sizing me up, just kind of what is this guy about, And later on, I came to find out that because we're at a gym and the whole kind of dude bro culture had not been, a part of, well, at least a cool part, had not been a cool part of Matt's life. And then the weightlifting started, and now he's a very strong, very accomplished weightlifter. Even though your weight's fluctuated a little bit over the years, but now you're getting skinny. I mean, how far have you gotten down weight wise?
Well, about a year after I met you, I got down to 250, but then it started going back up as I was focusing more on strength than my body composition.
Right.
And it's kind of stayed as that as my primary goal. So I'm at 325 right now, but
that's a meaty 325.
Yeah, it's a really different 325 than your World of Warcraft 325 or
yeah,
350 or whatever.
When I met you, I was wearing size 44 jeans and triple XL shirts, and now I'm double X and 38 jeans, and
you are a fucking ginormous human being. Yeah. My God. That's almost twice as big as I am. We were in the studio here. When you go, you got to go down the stairs, and it's kind of a tight. And I was like, these two big lugs on the stairs, and I was like, we're gonna have a traffic jam. We're not gonna get them through. We're gonna have to grease these stairs. That's all there is to it.
Well, I've got that great picture. I'll post it on the Facebook page. I got that great picture of the original Goon Squad was pretty much Matt, Cody,
2 children,
Josh, and I. So it was the four of us, I've got this picture of me standing between Matt and Cody, and I look like a fucking child, and it's just we walk into places where they had just normal bouncers and stuff, like when we did like Yale Pout and stuff, we'd walk in and people are like, you guys must be the guys that Brian called up. Like, holy shit, it was.
And there's times where I'm at work, and if it's a day where I don't have a lot going on, I'll help out with other doctors, and their nurse will want me to take someone down to lab or whatever, and I'll open the door to the room, and I'll get, did I do something wrong? Are you escorting me out? Or I go out to the waiting room to get patients. They think that I'm going to be, manhandling them out the door.
They automatically assume you're security. That's awesome.
Yeah. One of the most gentle people that you'll ever meet, and that's always cracked me up. But yeah, so vegetarianism.
Yep.
Now you eat cheese. So like you're not a vegan though.
No.
You eat cheese. What else? What are the bigger differences, or what are the big differences between vegetarian and vegan?
Vegans won't consume and usually won't use any products that come from animals. So I'm still.
So you still drink milk and shit like that?
Yeah, milk and dairy, and like vegans, they won't eat anything. They won't use leather.
So I have a question for you. So I mean, obviously you push a bunch of weight around, and you're a big dude. How do you get enough protein to manage that? I mean, do you use like protein shakes or?
Yeah, I go through quite a bit of whey protein, but I also go through about 2 big jars of Skippy a week.
Okay, a lot of peanut butter.
A lot of peanut butter, Greek yogurt.
Yeah, Greek yogurt's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I was actually just last night yesterday listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had on a guy, and I can't remember his name, but they were kind of debunking this James Cameron documentary that just came out about being vegan.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it either, but I guess it just landed, and it was like, it's a big splash, James Cameron, who did what fucking
something famous.
No, he like Titanic and
Terminator.
Was it like a hatchet job that he did, or was it?
Well, he did a really, really good documentary, but it just had some fallacies in it, and then Joe had on an expert that like basically was kind of debunking it, but they were talking strictly about veganism, and kind of one of the claims that they were making in this documentary, and I am speaking like from complete ignorance because I haven't seen it or anything like that, but they were making a claim about how some of these like elite athletes were vegan, and the guy that Joe had on, which I thought was interesting, said that like when you take the average American diet, which is just shit, and and somebody changes to being a vegan, they get this like vegan honeymoon, and they feel fucking great. But it has more to do with the fact that they're not eating shit than the fact that they're eating vegan. Where if you eat a clean diet, you're gonna you'll just, I mean, hey, this is a little fucking newsflash here. If you eat a clean diet, you're gonna feel better. Weird. If you eat shit, you're gonna feel like shit. But that like long term, it gets very difficult. Not that it can't be done, but it gets very difficult to operate at a high level if you at eating a vegan diet, because it's simply hard to get enough protein that is bio accessible. Like you can get enough protein, pea proteins and other and soy proteins and shit, but they're not as bio accessible as animal proteins. But I can see being able to do it pretty easily if you're eating Greek yogurt and you're, taking whey, because those things are not available to you if you're vegan. And if you're, being able to, whatever. Why? Can I ask why you decided to go vegetarian?
Well, it was about 12 years ago, and I was having some trouble with my blood pressure. This is long before I had started lifting, and my blood pressure was usually like 180 over 100.
Oh shit, that's high.
Yeah,
I have slightly high blood pressure. I actually just got myself one of those like things to measure it, and but I'm averaging like 140 over 90, like kind of right in that area.
So on
which
the
is
borderline.
On the borderline.
Yeah.
So that's high. I mean, that's you're operating at that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And then I did some reading. I had some close friends that were vegetarian at the time, and did some reading that eating a lot of meat can contribute to heart and kidney issues. So I went without it for a couple months, and they took me off my blood pressure medication. And I've always kind of contributed it to being vegetarian, but I don't think it's so much as what I was eating as, like you were saying, as what I wasn't eating. Because before I went vegetarian, I was eating 2-3 quad stackers from Burger King, 2 large fries. Like, so by being vegetarian, I was pulling myself away from a lot of the unhealthy
your sodium
options.
intake was
through the fucking roof.
Yeah, and which makes a huge difference. And I actually just found out some. I just switched my doctor, and my doctor is now a guy that I actually train with, who I do jiu-jitsu with, and I really like him. I think I can just say it. It's Dr. Trueblood. He's awesome. But I have this bum elbow, and I went in to talk to him about that. But I take a blood pressure medication, and I take a statin, and but I go on and off them because I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like taking it. But he got me to agree to do it for a month and to check my blood pressure, and he's a good doctor. But what was my point? God damn it. Was that we were talking about sodium. And he said I should probably look at my sodium intake. And I was like, but I thought I needed sodium to hold on to water. And he did a really good job describing to me action, which kind of blew that away. You do need a certain amount of sodium, or else you won't retain water. You'll dehydrate.
But a lot of people have a huge imbalance, like that
Well,
sodium,
so when
potassium.
you get too much sodium, or when you have more sodium than you need, then you actually retain more water than you need. And that's what causes your blood pressure to go up. So you get super hydrated or overhydrated, which I didn't even think was a real thing that you could get.
I think it's called hypernatremia.
I'm sure he said the real word, but I was just like, whatever. Cool, dude. So, but I didn't realize that because I actually I eat a lot of sodium, even on purpose. I put extra salt in my diet, on purpose. So I'm gonna cut that out a little bit.
So you like your new doctor though? That's a huge
very
plus.
much, because I didn't dislike my old doctor. I just didn't. He wouldn't explain to me why. I mean, he was in a hurry.
It's important, man. And bedside manner is important, and trust is important.
He had a
and all
good
these
bedside
things.
manner. He's a good guy. He just would be like, I really think you should take this meds. And I was like, okay, but why? Well, because you have high blood pressure. I know, but what's it going to do?
Because I'm a doctor. Fuck you.
And it wasn't like
Just
that,
kidding.
but he was a little bit like that. And then Dr. Trueblood, who his name is fucking Ted. He's my student, so it's kind of hard because he's my student, so I call him
But
Ted.
Ted's a pretty vanilla name, whereas Trueblood is super cool. Makes him sound like some kind of elite vampire.
I think Ted Trueblood is just a badass name, like Ted Trueblood. That's a fucking superhero name. Yeah, and he is a badass too, which helps. I mean, he's really tough.
Right, doctor's orders.
Right.
Fuck you up.
Right. Well, yeah. So I went to class on Wednesday. So basically, I'm all over the place on this story. I just woke up, so forgive me. But I went to class on Wednesday, and so basically I have this tennis elbow, and I can't. He wants me to basically try not to do anything for a period of time, 8 to 10 weeks. And then I'm going to go to physical therapy. I mean, yeah, but especially jiu-jitsu, which is really difficult on your body because it's a lot of pulling and twisting that you do, in doing jiu-jitsu. And he's like, if you could just, cool it on that, we'll get you into physical therapy, and then, we're going to go from there. So, but then he's there at class, and I really have to make sure I don't do anything, so I don't want my doctor to give me the eye. So yeah, pretty awesome.
Well, it's good that you like your doctor. I've talked before about how much I like my doctor.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. And before I was insured, Matt was my doctor.
Well, Sam was my doctor. So
all my
it's
health
kind of the same
questions
thing.
went pretty much to Matt.
Right.
Yeah, so that's I had to go. I just had to find a doctor with smaller hands.
Right.
It was uncomfortable.
As you're
at times.
getting
Exciting.
as you're
but
getting older,
uncomfortable.
you
Yeah.
get that prostate checked. You want small hands.
Absolutely.
I check that thing every morning. First joke I ever wrote. Matt, have you heard of this thing called red light therapy?
Yes. I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years ago, I read a short study on it, and my attention on it was gone pretty fast. But I have heard about it. I just haven't looked too deeply into it.
So, like, I get obsessed with anything. With anything. Hey, we should just mention Kyle's stuffing his face over here, but our buddy Craig
The Chameleon Cafe
Venske.
catered this episode.
Yeah, he gave us a nice little plate of meat and cheese. Matt can't have any of the meat, but we'll eat it in front of him. It'll be all right. But yeah, it's delicious. And then he also gave Kyle a bottle of white wine for me because he said I was really into white wine. I drank white wine in one episode with Tyler. What's Tyler's last name? Hamlin. And I'm not into white wine, but I'll still drink it. Thanks, Craig. We appreciate it.
He probably just thinks you look like a wino or an aspiring.
Well, I
wino.
do. I am. I mean, my nose is all busted up.
Oh, by the way, I watched a little David Cross stand up.
Yeah. You get the doppelganger thing?
Yeah, God damn it. I like the other day I was like, no. I mean, they're both bald, whatever. They both have glasses on. No. Yeah, you guys do look a bit alike.
All right, whatever.
But you know what?
He's cool.
He's fucking awesome.
I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's okay. It's just his fucking character on Arrested Development where he's the never nude dude. That's not the best. Like, nobody, I don't, that's when somebody first said, man, you look just like David Cross. I was like, fuck you, right? I will take my underwear off.
Dude, if you'll feel totally different about it if you watch his stand up.
Yeah, no, I have seen his stand up, but it's
man,
funny.
he's
I think
fucking
he's
great.
funny. I think he's great. It's just when anybody tells you that's your doppelganger, you're like, I'm in way better shape than that guy. I could fuck that guy up.
My parents used to David Cross is a pussy.
I'll fight him.
I've heard so many different people over the years. Oh, you look like, my parents used to think that I looked like Kevin James.
Oh yeah, right.
Remember that? Dude, no fucking way. Not only is that guy like he's not funny. He's not a funny guy. And I don't look like that fucking guy. And I've heard numerous people. And then before I got chubbier again, I always used to get Dave Bautista.
Oh, it's not too bad.
And I was like, well, that's kind of flattering, But then I got fatter, and no, I don't hear that shit anymore.
I ever since we had Chase Colley on, I pretty much gotten over being compared to anybody. Because
right?
Yeah.
When you found out, like, hey, you look just like somebody I know. Are they black? Yes, they're also black.
Right. I mean, not just that, like, people thinking he is like Lil Wayne or whoever.
Yeah.
It's like,
people that he doesn't fucking look like at all.
At all. Yep.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I like to I'll browse through the in custody list, and I'll come across people that look like Kyle all the time, and I'm like, hey, Kyle, who's this?
So I wanted to just jump back to this red light therapy thing really quick because I was just, as being in the industry, I'm curious what if you think this is legit. But so I get obsessed with stuff. I was like looking at different like remedies for tennis elbow, and I ran across this red light therapy. And I was like, it sounds like bullshit, right? You put this light on your body and it's going to like somehow. But then I like did some more research about it, and it was actually developed by NASA to help grow plants in outer space. That was its first incarnation. And basically this red light at a certain whatever megahertz, I'm sure that's wrong, will produce cellular growth in plants. That's what they first found out. And it was so successful that they were like, I wonder if we can use this to help treat astronauts for muscle degeneration in space. Lo and behold, it worked for that. And then it has kind of evolved into like basically kind of a cure-all. Like people use it for like acne, psoriasis, but it is supposedly really effective for tennis elbow. and you can buy a fucking
And yeah, arthritis as well.
arthritis. Yeah. Well, essentially, okay. So you can buy a light for $80. It's coming on Monday, and from Amazon. And you,
Oh man, you should have told me. I know a guy
who's what got a light?
who like developed his own kind. A guy in town here developed his own kind, his own lights, and sells them. There's actually one over. They've got one a trial one over at the at one of the gyms in town.
Huh.
Yeah, I actually learned about it from. I don't know if you remember John Klein. He went to. He was a Black Arrow for a long time, jiu-jitsu guy.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But he was telling me about it. His dad is the one that developed his own red light stuff. But,
Weird. Well, I'm really curious how it works, or if it's going to work at all. But basically, you take this light and you put it on your affected area. You let it sit for 20 minutes, and it doesn't burn your skin or anything like that. But the light goes into your skin and like literally like.
in that industry is rife with fads, though. You know.
Well, I know, and that's okay. So, and then I was kind of excited about it, and then I told Meta about it, and she is, let's say, she's a little more open to the
just enthusiastic about that sort of thing. The
well-
possibilities.
Well, she's okay. So she's open to things like getting her aura read or whatever. Okay, and I maybe have been a little bit, poo-poo on it. Okay.
Yeah. What did you told me about that? Obsidian, I believe it was. Was the word that you used to describe her aura?
So she's open to like
Just kidding.
weird. I don't want to say weird beliefs. Okay, whatever. So I was an asshole about I'm kind of an asshole about anything that's like foo-foo. Fucking foo-foo shit pisses me off. I don't want take your fucking crystals and shove them up somebody else's ass. I'm good.
Me too.
So I was a little
Mercury's
bit-
in retrograde.
I was a little negative about that shit. And then I come home and I'm like talking to her about this red light therapy, and she's like, "Oh," and she was giving me a lot of shit about it because like it's my foo-foo thing, And I was like, NASA, fucking NASA. This is science. This is not foo-foo shit. So we'll see. It might be foo-foo shit though, and I have been subject to other foo-foo shit, but
I've got some experience in that matter. I was so interested in red light therapy that I went to Europe, and I found in Amsterdam a complete district devoted to
I was
red light.
waiting for it.
And after a week there, I'm going to tell you, it cost a lot of money. But the therapy that I received in the red light district, left me broke. And while I didn't feel well, like right out of the gate, eventually, I was glad that I did it. And yeah, it did promote growth. I had several growths by the time I left. But yeah, so I do know something about that.
I'm sorry. I don't actually think red light therapy does anything for your genital warts. I don't think it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't have them before, and now they grew.
Those are part of those growths.
So, thank you, Amsterdam. I'll never forget that spring break.
So we're gonna give it a try. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
But so, we won't mention any names or any places specifically and stuff. But like, I know that people come in like to get medical treatment, and a lot of times I know people ask for weird shit. Does that happen? I mean, do you ever have that's not really, I suppose that's not really your end of things. They probably ask their doctors for like, hey, can I get this? But I mean, from like
give me an
medication.
example of weird shit. Like,
well, people like, like I said, that industry is so like rife with like gimmicky stuff, and we also like, I think we're one of the only countries where where companies market drugs directly to the consumer, kind of, and then people ask their doctor for shit that they see on TV and stuff. So I'm just curious about the kind of stuff the kind of weird shit that people ask for, and what doctors have to tell them. Like, I'm guessing that they hear a lot of weird fucking requests for medication and for other treatments and stuff like that. Like, what do you think about this? I mean, because like I've seen it happen. If somebody knows there's a doctor that I used to work out with. Well, I mean, we went to the same gym. We'd worked out at the same time. And, and people would always, like, when they found out he was a doctor, they'd always bounce some wacky shit off of him. And what do you think about this? And I was always like, man, I kind of feel bad.
I do that.
Because you got to let you probably feel like you let these people down a lot. Like, yeah, that stuff that you're excited about, fucking stupid,
Yeah.
I mean, I would be, so that's how I would, that I would be that diplomatic about it, so that's why I would suck. But, he was very kind about it.
Do people ask you weird shit?
I can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but I have had some experiences with myself going to doctors. My family doctor growing up I have had bad allergies my whole life, and I would just throw these, not expecting anything because it sounded like quackery to me, but I would throw these ideas off of him, and you could just see him roll his eyes.
Right.
And he would have books ready. He'd like have documentations he'd pull down to show.
Do you still have allergies?
Yeah.
So have you heard anything? And I know we're going to get back into the goddamn hookworms, but have you heard anything about the hookworm hypothesis?
No.
Okay, Matt, you really need to go and listen to this Radiolabs documentary. Have you ever listened to Radiolabs?
No.
Okay, so it's just radiolabs.org, and just type into their search bar. You could just type in hookworm; it would be fine. But the episode is called Parasites, I think. And there is some really, really solid research that that indicates that human beings have lived with hookworms, evolved with hookworms. So they've just been a part of what we have been as humans ever since we were humans. And then somewhere along the line, in the last couple hundred years, especially in European countries, have wiped out hookworms. And that has caused our bodies our immune systems to basically attack. Your immune system attacks itself. That's essentially what a autoimmune disease is. It's essentially the lack of hookworms. And if you listen to this episode, it's an amazing story, but there was a dude who was suffering from horrible allergies, and he decided to go to Africa and get infested with hookworms, and his allergies has gone away. And and it's not like people think hookworms are super disgusting, and they do look disgusting under a microscope, obviously.
As
but
does
it's
everything.
just a tiny little worm that eats your basically feeds off the lining of your gut, and your body fights them. So as long as you're healthy and if you have some hookworm in your body, you're fine. It's not, you don't become anemic and die from it. Now, if you're also malnourished and you're also yeah, then you become anemic, and I mean, you won't die from them, but it causes some serious health effects. But if you're healthy and you have a low level of hookworm in your body, it can actually make you much healthier. And the results are pretty amazing. Unfortunately, you can't. You used to be able to order these hookworms through the mail and get them from whatever, but they put them out of business. The FDA shut them down. But you can still get them, but you have to go to Canada. You have to go to Canada again.
I've got a guy.
I've been hoping, not hoping, but secretly kind of hoping that I would get some kind of autoimmune disorder just so I could get hookworms. I'm actually not even completely unopposed to just getting them, just because there might be health benefits that we don't even know about. So
you have to get a live, what do they look like? Do you just cram one up your ass, or what are they
So there's one up there in the cage.
That's a small one.
That's a small one. No, they actually come on a patch that looks maybe a nicotine patch or whatever, and you stick it on your arm and it goes through your skin, and then they work their way through your blood into your gut, and then that's it. And then if you want to get rid of them, you can just take a course of antibiotics. They'll kill them. They're pretty easy to kill.
So what if you get a hookworm and you have it, let's say you have it for years, and then you get sick with something that you need to take antibiotics for. then you've had this hookworm for years. You know, like if you've ever had a pet, like you know what I'm talking. Well, you know where I'm going with this.
Right.
So then, like the antibiotic, like then you got to make that decision. Like, look, I really want to be rid of this like illness, but it will kill my
Super
hookworm.
easy. All you need to do is before you take the antibiotic, you need to poop in a jar. All right, and then you just save that jar. Take your antibiotics, and then just walk around in that jar of shit, and you'll just get your hookworms right back.
Well, I only poop in jars, so that's not even
Yeah,
a
be
problem.
perfect. Be perfect.
Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, I need to make a correction. I gave shit, I'm blanking on his name right now. Our boy last week.
Chris.
Yes, Chris. Some shit about the bidet. Apparently that's the way bidets work.
No, you shit in one and then the water blasts you in the ass?
Yes.
Fuck that.
I know. What the fuck?
Worst drinking fountain ever.
Isn't that bizarre?
That is fucking bizarre. You got poopy water like splashing you in the
Well,
ass?
supposedly it comes out of a different port, but I'm still telling you, I don't want any.
Oh man.
I mean, I only drink the water out of the back of the toilet like when I have to. You know what I mean? I feel like bathroom water is different than other water. I don't want anything coming out of a toilet splashing me in the butt.
You know, I'm weird about bathrooms. Like,
But I thought he was fucking crazy when he was saying that the bidet sprayed him in the face.
well, just because he was right about that doesn't mean Chris is not crazy.
No, that's true. He was a little crazy. But I was like, I thought he was. I was just convinced he shit in the wrong thing, and yeah, I was.
And just because he didn't shit in the wrong thing on that instance doesn't mean Chris is not go around shitting all over the weird places.
Yeah, that's true.
Love you, brother.
Well, then back to the weird requests for doctors. I've actually seen it the other way. When I was in high school, I was seeing a psychologist for my anxiety and depression, and he had tried to get me to go in on this like tapping therapy, where he would go around your body a couple inches from your body and like go like this, and it would tap your aura. And I was out. I was like, yep.
You had a doctor trying to tell you to do this?
Yeah. And I was out of there.
So this leads me into something
What was he a doctor of?
quackery.
Quackery.
Speaking of like crazy beliefs, I just wanted to pull this up here. Last night I was on the old Facebook, and
I'm familiar with it.
our good buddy Ron Barons
Yes.
put a post up I enjoyed last night. I'm trying to find it here. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, so here it is. It said, "Let children believe in Santa Claus as long as they want. There are grown adults who still believe in the Minnesota Vikings." And I kind of got a chuckle out of it. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, there's a lot of adults that believe in some really crazy shit. So I posted on there, a lot of people, even smart people, believe in God. Is Santa a gateway deity?
Ooh.
Snap. I thought it was funny, but I got a kick out of it.
Well, the first time I've seen that post like that was actually, there are a lot of adults that believe in God. So
Right. But I always we're coming into the season, you know, we're coming into the old Christmas season. But I don't like Christmas. I'm an anti-Christmaser. I'm a true Grinch.
I love Christmas, but I do think people get fucking carried away. You know, like there's that whole, the shit that like the thing that I most look forward to seeing in Christmas is not the Yule log, which is like an old pagan thing, or Santa Claus, any of that stuff. It's the we'll say Bible thumper. I was trying to look for something less aggressive, but whatever. The whole war on Christmas thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if like feeling like a fucking martyr makes them feel closer to Jesus or something, but it's fucking stupid. I mean, there's like made up stories about like people getting denied service in goddamn stores and shit like that, and don't be so fucking like there's real victims in the world. Don't fucking make yourself like the don't fake shit to make yourself the victim.
Right.
There's no fucking war on Christmas. Christmas isn't going anywhere.
Well, they've gone so long without being a victim of anything.
Yeah.
That any small
victimize people enough, and you're gonna like, man, I want to try this victim thing on for a while. Look how downtrodden they are. That looks sexy.
I'm actually the opposite of you, though, Matt. I actually look forward to Christmas a lot, even as this big staunch atheist, because it's one of the few times during the year that the whole family gets together, and we really don't put a whole lot of emphasis on the Christmas BS. It's
a family
let's just
holiday,
get together, chill.
No, I get what you're saying. I
mean,
mean,
I see a lot of posts online where people are talking about how they're going to handle all these broken discussions at the dinner table about politics and everything, and we never had any of that. So everyone just sits together. We don't
do that shit either.
And it's great. Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, usually.
I do really enjoy Thanksgiving. Actually, that's one of the holidays that I do enjoy. Actually, last week I got at my day job. I work with runaway homeless kids, and at once a year we do our big Thanksgiving feast, and it's like my favorite week because I get to like cook food. I think we did like 35 people, so I have to do turkey.
Any week that you do 35 people is a good week.
Yeah, but it's super fun to do. Okay, but so we're talking about Christmas. I don't know why I fucking hate Christmas. I can't figure it out. Like my birthday is 2 days after Christmas, and I think that was part of it growing up.
Sure, you got fucked.
I got fucked on the Christmas, but I wasn't really. But people think that that's it, but I don't even know. Plus, my family was not incredibly functional. We were. Oh, you remember my mom, right? No, maybe not. No, because I know you used to come to the Eclectic, but probably after she passed away. You're quite a bit younger than me. So anyway, but I just had, and then over the years, especially my second wife, Jess, she would like fucking put us in the poorhouse on Christmas. And I remember one time her mom like came up to us because I was like going like, we can't fucking spend this much money. Like, we can't do it. We are poor. Like, we don't have this much money to spend. And she would, like, max out credit cards and everything for fucking Christmas. And one year, her mom, who did not like me, came up to me after fucking Christmas dinner. And she's like, are you guys doing okay? And I was like, yeah, we're doing fine. Why? She goes, well, I don't know. I didn't want to say anything, but I thought the gifts were a little light this year. And I just had to walk away. Because I was going to punch this fat woman in the face. I was like, what the I was so mad. And actually, I think that was the year before, like, Jess left. So, like, it was, like, because I didn't do another Christmas. I was like, I will never do another Christmas. And then after we got divorced, I was like, I do not participate in Christmas. I don't give or receive gifts. I don't decorate. I just don't do it. And my son, Peyton, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago, he said to me,
keep watching next month for the Spitballing Christmas special.
He said to me, he goes, Dad, I just wanted to say that I really respect your decision not to do Christmas. And I was like, well, thanks, bud. I appreciate that. He goes, yeah, I totally get it, man. He said, I think that the whole, like, commercial, industrialization. I mean, Peyton's a super fucking smart kid, so, I mean, like, I was like 13 years old and he's like talking like this. I think the whole, like, corporate, like blah, blah, blah. And that, and he goes, and I totally get that you don't have the religious aspect to it. And I just get it. He goes, I just think you might want to rethink the gift giving. And I was like, you little shit. Like I felt so good. Like when you were telling me how like awesome it was that you understood my point of view,
and it was a setup.
It was a jab cross, that little shit. And I would, but yeah, so no.
But I have I have wonderful memories of Christmas. I love getting together with my family and stuff. And I don't have any problems with Christians. Not too long ago I tried that on. I really tried.
Like you scun one and wore it around.
Yeah, because that's what they deserve. No, but I mean, no, I tried to, explore that part of my spirituality. I'm not a fucking spiritual person. I'm barely a person. And I tried, and just today I was thinking about my friend Peter, who is just like, in my mind, kind of like what Christians should aspire to be. He's humble, unobtrusive. He's like respectful. He's he's a great. I wanted to call him a kid. He's probably 30 years old now. He's just a great dude, and very, very Christian. And like a lot of things, like I poke fun. Just like when I call certain people cousin fuckers and shit, like
I got a kick out of if the Chevy is bumping,
man.
I'm humping my cousin.
Yeah,
that was fucking
funny.
Chevy
bumping. My cousin, I'm a humping.
Oh, my cousin, I'm a humping.
Those license, those fucking stickers all over that car. That I'm like, what the fuck, I'm like, I don't want just the idea of kids like thinking that fucking person is like a real grown up or something. But like I throw those words around and stuff, and I like to feel like, especially on Facebook, I throw that shit around. And we talked a little bit earlier about how about trying to tone it down a bit on Facebook, because I don't want to come across the wrong way. But usually when I call somebody, when I say somebody's a cousin fucker, or I talk about like rednecks and shit, like, I hope that it comes across the right way to the right people. I don't want everyone to think that I'm lumping every, Republican into this fucking, every conservative is not in the same boat as far as I'm concerned. A lot of these people, like my whole fucking family's conservative. Most of my friends are conservative. So I say shit, I talk shit, and I don't mean to offend 80% of those people. Well, but I do fucking definitely want to offend that 20%. But like the thing with Christians, I didn't mean to say that like all Christians have, that goddamn martyr complex, and I don't have a problem with their holidays, even though the holiday that they're celebrating in December is not at all when any biblical scholar thinks Jesus Christ was actually born. That's totally not even the right time of year for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of those, observances, a lot of those the ways that we celebrate Christmas are, pagan traditions. And they didn't celebrate Christmas by this huge consumer orgy up until, just a few decades ago.
So of all of the things I don't like about Christmas, which include the fucking music, the lights, that fucking fat elf that tries to get down my chimney. I mean, all of it I really hate. But that's the big thing, is the consumer driven,
and the fucking music.
Ridiculous. The music is bad. Every year, it's this time of the year I start to get like the grump, because I go into Caribou. I go to Caribou every day and get my large Americano with an extra shot on the side. The fucking Christmas music starts playing as soon as, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to stop paying your mortgage if you don't do it. If you don't change this music, it just drives me crazy. But the thing that bothers me the most is this whole greed driven, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to say that I'm excited, because that's probably not true. But I am looking forward to this year, because this is the first time that I'm going to be spending Christmas season with the Mandich family. And they seem to have a pretty cool, approach to the holiday. It's they play some crazy games. It's not, nobody exchanges gifts except for the children to the children. It seems cool. I'm really going to give it a try.
Man, some people just do the goddamn holidays right. Like Metta's family's wonderful. I'm just a huge fan of those people. I have friends with her siblings and stuff,
Yeah.
and I, just got to spend some time with Clinton this weekend. Haven't seen Ella in a long time, but they're just great people. When Katie and I were dating, I used to like her family is so damn fun. These people are so the McDonald's, love the McDonald's, and just her family are so fun. I just really like. They really do the shit out of those holidays, you know, with all their, you know, with their little traditions and stuff. You know, they've got their own little individual tradition, you know, their traditions that are specific to them and stuff. And you know, and everybody's working on dinner together and shit like that. Some of that stuff is just fucking wonderful. And some people just really do it right. And I miss the shit out of those guys. I don't get to see them enough.
See, I have like
They're
a
wonderful.
visceral reaction though to like the just like fucking Christmas decorations. Like,
And people go overboard way too.
I don't like. Doesn't even matter, man. Put it like I remember one time Logan, my oldest son, he was working at the. This story makes me an asshole. He was working at the.
It's not the story.
Oh shit! He was working at the greenhouse, Erickson's greenhouse, and they make wreaths there, right? And so he was pretty proud that he was making all these fucking wreaths at the greenhouse, and. By the way, super cool place, super cool guy. Erickson's greenhouse guy is fucking just an amazing dude. Really was like kind of a mentor to Logan. But Logan fucking put a wreath on my door, and I like, I wasn't gracious. I wasn't gracious. I was like,
Sometimes you just roll with that
what
shit.
the fuck is this? Yeah. So I just have I have a little bit of a visceral. Yeah.
You mentioned the greed, which I think a lot of people do touch on this time of year. But I also think there's more to it in the fact that I think Americans have been conditioned to feel obligated to give gifts. So it's not necessarily it's not necessarily these people want these things, and that's not why they're going out on Black Friday. That's not I want. It's they feel that they're obligated to give gifts.
For sure.
And
Sure. And there's competition involved and all kinds of weird, unhealthy.
like,
you'll feel like people legitimately feel like a failure if they can't provide the gifts their kids want, or like, and
For sure.
that's something just uniquely American.
Yeah, and horrible.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, I'll share something quick here. Two of my most memorable Christmases. One, I was young and I was a shitty little brat about my presents because I didn't get what I wanted. Feel horrible about that to this day. I was probably 6 years old, maybe 7, and I fucking feel bad about that to this day. Fast forward a few years, the plant had closed down, and my dad was, like normally we were, like I grew up, fairly comfortable. We weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable, and the plant had shut down, and my dad was like working like fucking like odd jobs while he went back to school and retrained and stuff like that. But money was tight that year, and he like took to the like spent a lot of time out in the garage and made like really cool presents like stilts and stuff like that. Some of my favorite, like that was one of my favorite Christmases.
Very
just
cool.
memories like that, like that sort of thing. Ugh.
I do like the Borkenhagen family. Like I dated Jess Borkenhagen for years, but her family had a really cool approach to Christmas. I didn't really participate in it because I'm a fucking asshole. But they draw names, and then if you like, I have to make you something. That's it. Like there's no, like you can't, like
cool.
it has to be like a handmade, and they're all super fucking talented. Like her brother is like got a bag making, like, and it's like, oh fuck yeah, Luke's got my name, like it's like, like, or Chip is like an amazing painter and does like so you get a fucking oil painting and shit like that. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. But I still was like, no, homie, don't play that. Yeah.
Give them a macaroni diorama or something.
Well, dude, getting my name wouldn't be bad. I can make some shit. But I don't know. Okay. Are we done with Christmas?
Sure.
All I wanted to say was I thought fucking Santa Claus is a gateway deity. Was one of the fuck funnier lines I've ever said.
I enjoy that.
I laugh my ass off. I might want to get that tattooed.
Well, he's the concept around Santa Claus in current day is so in line with many of the deities. Like, behave
for
or
sure.
you're not getting shit.
No, I mean, I said it in jest because it's funny, but I also actually think there's a lot of truth to it.
Which brings out more humor in it.
Well, plus you're training little children to believe in this imaginary thing, and then eventually you like they like figure out that you're full of shit, and then you're like, that's okay. There's God. It's like, boy. And I won't say I never lied, but I like refuse to lie to my children about any of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So like they grew up never believing in Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, whatever. I just was like, yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
I kind of took a different approach to that. I made sure my kids were full believers in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and all that stuff, just so that to proactively get back at them for shit that they were going to do to me when they were teenagers. I went down the line and just dashed their dreams and hopes on all that shit. Just to see the look on their faces.
Yeah, I have you just said, I wasn't listening to a word you said, Kyle. I was thinking about what Matt said. You said that the way Santa Claus, like the naughty list and the naughty and nice list, thing like that. I never thought about that before, but that really is like a fucking like controlling tool.
Yeah, like he sees you all the time and he knows exactly what you're doing.
That dirty cocksucker.
Yeah.
Oh, intrusive indeed.
And he leaves you cold, and hell's full of coal.
Huh.
Or is it setting kids up for like, hey, I got all these presents anyway, even though I was a little cunt all year. Like that's what the fucking real world is like.
Right. Who actually is ever on the naughty list? Who does get a lump of coal for Christmas?
Right.
Well, it's always the little assholes that get the best gifts anyway. Like growing up, it was always the rich kids that are like beating the shit out of their classmates, and they're getting new 4-wheelers and snowmobiles for Christmas. Meanwhile, these kids are getting the crap beat out of them every day. They're like, their parents are like, "Oh, we got you a bar of soap for Christmas because we can't make ends meet."
Santa can go fuck himself.
And you fucking stink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kids all.
As long as we've been talking about the holidays, you brought up something excellent that I've heard before, but I don't think people hear it enough about food shelf donations.
Oh,
you mentioned something on Facebook the other day.
Yeah. Every time we get closer to Christmas, I'll go around town and I'll see food donation bins out, and those are great, but dollar for dollar, it is much more effective to give money to the food shelves than it is food, because one, the dollars go farther. They buy their food in bulk, so you can buy much more food for $1 in bulk than you can by buying a can of food and putting it in a bin. Yeah. They can also make sure that the food is more nutrient dense. I see a lot of ramen. You can't. I don't know if all the food shelves do this, but a lot of food shelves toss out things that don't have nutrients in them. Ramen is more of a salt lick than an actual salt lick. There's more sodium in there than you would need in a month.
A sodium delivery system.
And but there's so much focus on the food shelf leading up to Christmas, and they struggle the rest of the year because there isn't that big push, and that's another reason that money helps, because that money ensures that they have resources throughout the year, and it's easier to store than a bunch of canned food.
Yeah.
Money's easier to store,
which is expired anyway. That's why I brought it.
Right. Yeah.
Now I totally agree with you that if you're going to give to a food shelf, it makes much more sense to give money than it does to give non-perishable food items. But it's weird because I just had this conversation yesterday with my buddy Mark, who's a friend of the show, loves to watch the show, and he's a super cool guy. But he donates every Monday. He goes and works at the Salvation Army food shelf, and he's been doing it for 8 fucking years. And I was like,
nice.
What? And I kind of knew this about him, but I didn't know. And I love Mark. I really do. He's a cool guy. He's not the kind of guy you would think would go fucking donate a day a week at the food shelf. You know what I mean? He's like he just doesn't.
He probably doesn't tell everybody about it either.
No, I've known him for
which
long
makes it not real.
And it just came up yesterday because I said he said something about how he had to work Monday, so he wasn't going to be able to be at the food shelf. And I was like, oh, that's right. You volunteer at the food shelf. And he was saying, why, where are we at? I was asking him why he did it or how, like I said, Jesus Christ, how long have you been doing that? I know you've been doing that for a while. He's like, yeah, 8 years. And I said, well, how did that even start? He goes, well, honestly, he says I work 4 10-hour days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I just couldn't handle being with my wife on Monday. So I decided to, and I was like, that's like the coolest reason
That's
to like
fucking
become
awesome.
they've since been divorced and stuff, but and yet he still did it. Like he got rid of the problem and he still donates every Monday, goes to the food shelf and works. Okay, but he was talking about food shelf donations as well, and they get a lot of their donations from stores like Walmart, Costco, Cub, so on and so forth. And in those cases, that's great. Like, cause that you're taking stuff that, cause it didn't used to be that way, years ago, like grocery stores would not like give their produce or whatever to food shelves. They would throw that shit away. And now it's going to, much more of it is going to food shelves. And then once that food isn't going to be able to go out to people, then they give it to a farmer that like feeds pigs and chickens and so on and so forth. And so like the waste stream is much reduced. That's now.
Awesome.
Food shelf. And I thought that, this is something I didn't really know about until
which is weird because we don't think about shit like that.
We have a food shelf at my work. We have a small, we call it a pantry, but we have a small pantry where we take donations and we, and then if I have a kid that's going to be staying in the emergency shelter, I can give them some mostly ramen, or whatever. But it's we're really limited because it has everything that we have has to be stuff that like you can literally make without any other ingredients,
without cooking and shit.
Yeah, so like like those little cups of macaroni and cheese, you just add water and put in the microwave. But I didn't think about that, about how much reduced the waste stream has become now that people have gotten a little more woke about like that. On the other hand, you're right. It doesn't make any sense for somebody to go to Cub Foods, buy a bag buy canned goods and then put it in that donation bin, because that's like put the money out there.
Well, and then I wouldn't want to completely drive people away from donating to the bins, because a lot of people, that's the only way the way they know how. Because like when Kyle was working at the gym, I had suggested possibly putting like an envelope out, because where these food donation bins are, it's always just the bins for food. You can't just put money in there. Someone's going to take it. And so I think it's good to put food in. I mean, it's better than nothing. But if you really want to help the food shelves, find a way to get some money to them. Even if it's $1, like you drive by a food shelf and just drop off $1, that's going to do more than buying a can of corn.
And also, the Salvation Army, which is probably the biggest, well, in our area for sure, it's the biggest food shelf center. And they have the people that ring the bell during the season. And, I have a visceral reaction to anything Christmas. And I really have a hard time with the bell ringer, the Salvation Army bell ringers. God, I feel like this episode, everybody's just gonna be like, "You're a fucking asshole."
It's your turn.
I was in a bad mood one day, and I told Peyton, I gave him $20, and I told him that to go up to the Salvation Army person and tell him that he'll give him the $20 if he stops ringing the bell for 20 minutes. Or actually, I think I said, go give that guy $20 and tell him to stop ringing that fucking bell for 20 minutes. And he wouldn't do it, so I kept my money.
I get a really bad reaction to seeing the bells out there too. And if I see someone ringing a bell up front of the store, I'll just not go to the store.
Oh.
But it's that anxiety. I don't want them I don't want to be put into a spot where I feel bad for not giving money, and I think that's the goal of people asking for money.
I don't feel like that at all. That said, and I'm like a big fan of the Salvation Army. Especially the local Salvation Army. I don't know much about the organization like
nationwide,
but I know that the local Salvation Army, I work with them almost daily in my day job. And Carol, who is the director over there, just does an awesome job. She's really selfless. She works like ridiculous hours. Like, call her in the middle of the night. She's awesome. That's where they get most of their money. Most of their operating budget comes from the bell ringers during the holiday season. So fucking put some money in there if you got it, all right? But just wear your earplugs and or maybe just don't leave your house for the month of December. That's fine.
I'm fine
Whatever.
not leaving my house as long as there's anything white outside on the ground. Like that snow.
Let's see. Oh, this is like a really big shift in the subject, but I just wanted to bring it up. So I worked at 9th Street Social Club last night, and there was the hockey game was on. Do you guys watch hockey at all?
Oh no, never.
Oh shit! I that was an honest question. Like I didn't even, and actually I even know you were talking beforehand that you're doing some kind of coaching or whatever.
Ref.
I was completely not paying attention to that because it like. Sorry, if it has to do with sports, it just kind of like it literally like it's like water off a duck's back. I can't hear it, so I was not joking. Like I didn't realize, but
Matt has a Pittsburgh Penguins tattoo on his leg. I fucking hate hockey, but he loves that shit.
I feel about hockey like I do about all sports. Nothing. Like I don't have anything, but. I'm working at a bar where they watch sports all the time, whatever. And the hockey was on last night. I was going to say the name of the teams, but I'm actually not sure. Who was playing?
Wild in Boston.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Sure. I was going to say the Wild, but then I wasn't sure. Anyway, it ended up being a pretty crazy game. Did you watch it?
No.
Okay,
I don't have cable, but I listened to it.
Okay, so the Wild were up, and then they gave up a couple points. Like really close to the
Minnesota sport fashion.
Yeah, and they lost, and I mean, like there were probably a dozen people there watching the game, and it was it gets loud and people are screaming at TV, and we've talked before about how any time you're watching sports in a bar, you have all these experts that are like just saying horrible things about people that are out there like doing their best or whatever, and I don't have a dog in the fight, so I don't really care. I just don't care. So anyway, so the game's over, and how in a bar where the mood gets kind of grumpy, when especially when a team loses and everything. So there's like this kind of like this angst in the bar, and Erin Lewis goes and grabs the remote, and she's looking for something else that's on TV. Like what should we watch now? And she turns it to the fucking dog, the AKA like the kennel club, like dog. What is that called? Like
Dog show.
Yeah, dog porn. Yeah, and
something different.
It was fucking magical, man. It was magical how the way the mood of the bar changed from this like, and people just couldn't help it. Like, is that a Shar-Pei? Oh, and then like what? And it was like 2 hours of like everybody like I literally watched it go from like grump and mean to like people were like hugging and laughing and buying shots. And
I thought you were going to say a fist fight broke out between like a Schnauzer fan and a Poodle fan or something.
No, there was no fist fights. It's something about like just watching those pretty dogs. It just makes everybody think. But this was why I originally jotted it down, because I was thinking that I was like, so I'm watching this, right? And I like dogs. I have a issue. I have a hard time with dogs because I got chewed up when I was young, and like I have like this like innate fear when I first meet a dog. So for that reason, dogs have the tendency to bite me. They like go like, why is this guy afraid of me? Well, fuck it, I better bite him.
Or maybe you're just marked. Maybe you're just extra delicious.
I might be.
And dogs can tell.
I might be. Did I tell a Jackie Chan story on here about? Well, let's put a pin in it. Okay. So I'm watching the show, all right, and I have an old English sheepdog who is like the most beautiful, lovable like creature on earth. Unfortunately, she doesn't live with me anymore. I kind of lost her in the divorce, but she lives with Jess, girlfriend, Jess Borkhagen, ex-girlfriend. But she, and I could still see her and everything, but I just don't get to see her very often. But I miss her and I love her very much, and she was a princess. Okay. So I'm watching this fucking show, and there was an Old English Sheepdog coming up. And I was like, that ain't an Old English Sheepdog. My God. Like, they do so much work on them that they're like, they don't even look like what they look like. And I'm like, this is dog porn. This is fucking dog porn.
I was going to say, it does sound like a strip club.
It is porn. Yeah. They're
like a high-end strip club.
Right. Because it's like, I don't think that's real. You know? And then I was like, that was just, I thought it was funny because I'm like, they just, it's like any kind of glamour show. You're like, oh, she's hot. Well, I mean, she is. She's very beautiful. But I think you're actually looking at some paint and some, I'm pretty sure that's not really like, there's a video. Oh, and I'll try to find a link to it and put it on the Facebook, but, and I'm sure many people see it. We use it at work when we're talking about body image and stuff with kids. But it's this thing where they take this girl who's totally normal looking girl, and then they make her up to go out and do like a fashion show, and it's like amazing, like the evolution of this person who's just sitting there looking just normal to like this glamour model, and it's like. And it's like 3 hours, but they do it down in like 3 minutes or whatever. And it's like, and the message is essentially like, anybody can look like this. Yeah. Anybody can look like this if you put that much work into it.
Speaking of body image, I know you guys have seen these. You see it all over, like memes, and it showed up in some videos and stuff. Where they talk about how, like people always reference like Barbie and stuff like that when they're talking about unrealistic expectations for girls. And then, in some of these, they're like, oh, really? Tell me how that works. And then they show like a He-Man action figure and stuff and just how jacked and shit he is. Yeah, that shit goes both ways. But no, that I've sat and watched dog shows before, and I'm like, man, and I always wonder, like, I don't know if those dogs are enjoying this, I don't know if they get the same satisfaction out of this as the owners and stuff, but
yeah, so right, like, and I think that there are people that feel like dog shows are like cruel to animals, and that they are.
I don't think they're cruel. It's not like zoos, which I fucking hate.
But I was gonna say, like, there's actual suffering in the world. Fuck it, it's a dog show. I mean, who actually gives a shit if that dog's enjoying it? Like, nobody's beating the dog to death.
As far as we know.
Yeah. No, man, they're pretty dogs. Yeah. So I'll just quickly tell the Jackie Chan story. But so I got bit up by a dog when I was young. I've always had this fear of dogs, and I have the tendency to get attacked. Like if I if I meet a dog for the first time and I have this anxiety, that dog will just like identify that and just go after me. So years ago, I was working at the Shine. I was at the Shine, and we were gonna have do like a Hawaiian themed party.
We're gonna have a luau.
Yeah. Oh God! And we went all out. We had a band that was gonna play that played. And this is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. I was like,
I doubt that.
Oh God, it's pretty bad, dude. I was like, we need a beach. So I fucking like went and got a bunch of sand and like made a beach on my carpet it was, dude, like, what was I thinking? I could never get it out. I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours vacuuming that shit up. And
maybe a sandbox or something.
Well, I did make a box, and I even put plastic down, but that sand went everywhere because people were running around.
Yeah.
I mean, it went everywhere. So anyway, we wanted a tiki bar, right? And one of our employees was like, it's super weird, but I have a tiki bar in my garage, and you can have it. It's like kind of falling apart, but it's like one of those bamboo tiki bars, cheap things. Yeah, why don't you guys come over and get it? So me and Phil jump in the car, run over to get it. Now, he had been to her house or whatever. He knew she had 2 giant dogs, and he knew that I was terrified of dogs. He didn't mention it. No. So we go jumping out of the car. Never even said, oh, she has dogs, so I'll go first or whatever. No. He did get out. We got out of the car. He was walking in front of me. And she was washing her car, and she had a pit bull and a German Shepherd. Both beautiful dogs. Phil says, hey, hi, opens the gate, right? Those dogs bolt out of the car, bolt right past him, right at me, right? And I was like standing on the side of her house, and there was like she had like a deck, right? Which was about 3 feet off the ground. And then there was a railing of the deck that's whatever, another 3 feet or whatever. So like I could reach up and grab the top of the railing, right? So Phil comes around the corner, dogs come bolting out, right? And I grab the top of the railing and jump up onto the railing, right? Like Jackie Chan style. And I'm standing there and like screaming, right? And she gets the dog, and then like her and Phil are just looking at me like, how the fuck did you do that? And I'm still like super, I mean, my, cortisone and adrenaline are just spiked. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was so mad at Phil. I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you tell me? And they're like, but you like, and I was
totally not on the same page.
Yeah. And it's like, so like that's the whole like, Bruce Banner fucking, like getting the car off his kid thing. Like, I mean, it's like I definitely have I have an active adrenaline gland. And then afterward I was sick and, horrible, but yeah. So I can do some Jackie Chan shit if I need to. Yeah. It's crazy.
Shit.
So that's a lot of weird dog stuff. Cool. What do you got on your list there, Kai?
Man, there was something. Okay, we talked about Bridgetson. So have you been watching The Mandalorian?
Oh, I was going to mention it, but
no, I don't have time to watch much of anything.
Oh man,
are you a Star Wars geek?
Not as much as I want to be, but. I mean, it's been...
I don't even know if it's something that anybody should want to be. It's like a sickness.
Well, see, Matt's a different flavor nerd. So Matt, like...
Chocolate.
Between the gaming and chocolate. But he's into anime and shit like that.
Oh.
Which I've never... Have you ever gotten into anime?
Nope.
My anime experience has been limited. There's some tentacle porn. And... which is a real thing. I mean, not me personally. I mean, but it's pretty mundane for me. I'm into weirder shit. But except for like what's it, Star Blazer or whatever, that old school shit that that I watched way back in the day. I have not got into much anime and stuff. Now, what is new in the world of Pokemon?
I don't know. I know they released a new game this week, but
I was wondering if you'd gotten into that.
Nope.
Are you talking about like the Pokemon Go thing on your phone?
No. They released a game on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
So I wanted to get it and play it with the kids, but gotta save some money up first.
Gotcha.
I last night the Trinity stopped in.
Yes.
Trinity was on like episode, I don't know, whatever.
Something episode.
She shaved Tharg's hair. And she was asking me about if I knew what cyberpunk was. I was like, "Fucking, of course I know what cyberpunk is." Apparently, I have no idea what cyberpunk is. Actually, I think they don't know what cyberpunk is.
I was gonna say, are you sure?
Right? Because, but I was like a little insulted, But cyberpunk is an old role playing game, it's a D&D, there's a bunch of different
like Shadowrun.
It's like Shadowrun, and but apparently there's a new cyberpunk game, like a video game or a console game. I actually have no idea. Coming out, and there's some actually after that I lost the thread. I actually don't know, but I was just like pissed when I was, like not pissed, but I was like, she's like, hey, do you know what Cyberpunk is? I was like, fuck, of course I know what Cyberpunk is. You want to get a game going? You know,
Right.
like, let's do it. I'm in. And she's like, really? I didn't really think you were a gamer. And I was like, well, it's been a long time since I've rolled the dice. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you know, like, I don't really have a GM right now. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, you know, the video game that's coming out. And I was like, I don't play fucking video games. I'm like, yeah. So, which I really don't. I don't play any video games at all. I have a weird version of ADD, but it won't allow me to, like, I can't stand playing any kind of video game. It just.
Is there anything that you can stand? This last hour and a half feels like a lot of you saying,
Really?
I really hate this.
Really negative, huh?
Yeah.
I might need a hug.
Hey,
I do like the
we're both-
Mandalorian.
Do you like hugs or are you?
No, I fucking hate hugs.
Yeah, okay.
Are we having an intervention right now?
yeah, with two of the best huggers in town.
Yeah.
You are a good hugger.
Yeah, we're gonna hug the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to survive.
Camera's off for that.
Pants
So-
off for that.
The Mandalorian, though, we like, because there's been a while, so we were gonna do like a supplemental about the Mandalorian before we went
Yes.
down to Brujitsu, but we never got around to it.
But people are asking questions now. I can't. I had somebody ask an excellent question last night, but Matt hasn't seen episode 3 yet,
Yep.
and I can't answer this without like spoilers and stuff.
So we'll do that next week.
So, but there is, there are a couple of things that we can tell you about. Now, I don't know as much as some people do about, the Mandalorian culture. And I say culture for a reason, but I'll get back to that. So people are watching the show now, and there's some things that people don't know about Mandalorians. Now, most Mandalorian culture, the Mandalorians are a culture, not a race. The Tong were the original Mandalorians. That was a race, not human. And, but that was 23,000 years ago.
Well, 23,000 years.
Ago.
In their
far, far away.
universe.
In the Star Wars universe, yeah. But now most Mandalorians are humans. But anyone, basically, it's a pretty inclusive culture, because all you have to do is like be willing to adopt their rule. This is the way. Okay, if you haven't watched the show yet, that'll be important later. Not human originally, but mostly human now. And they are a culture, and they are about testing themselves, via combat. They are warlike. They're very, combat is a big deal in their culture, hence the armor. Speaking of the armor, Beskar steel. Now, the reason that metal is so significant is because it can, like good Beskar can withstand a strike from a lightsaber.
Right.
Now, when that showed up in, was it episode 1?
Episode
one.
1. It looked suspiciously like Damascus.
That threw some people. I had to do some research myself. So yeah, that's that.
So if you want to learn a lot about the Mandalorians, you really
YouTube.
No, what now? Okay, actually, just go watch the series Rebels, which is available on Disney Plus.
I haven't got to that yet.
And it takes
just
place.
rewatching.
It takes place. It butts up to Rogue One, so it takes place before New Hope and before Rogue One, but only right before, because Vader's out there wiping out Jedi and shit like that. But the Mandalorians are featured in that series pretty extensively, and they get into their hierarchy in the background. It's fucking great. It's great. So I really suggest it, 100%. So actually, probably, I don't know. Well, I think the peripherals are the best Star Wars out there. Like the Clone Wars, I think is one of the best, parts, one of the best pieces of Star Wars, the Clone Wars series, the animated series, and then I also think Rebels is pretty great. Well, great.
Ooh, and we talked about Christmas. And of course, the most exciting thing on Facebook this week, Baby Yoda. Okay, it's not actually Baby Yoda, but it's a baby of Yoda species. Fuck spoilers. It's all over Facebook. You've already seen it.
Well, if you haven't watched The Mandalorian, if you're interested in watching The Mandalorian, but you're not going to watch it, then you just spoiler alert, period, for the rest of the time. You're going to we're going to talk about the fucking Mandalorian.
But that baby of Yoda's species, surprise, surprise, is going to be available for Christmas. It's fucking Disney. Did you think he wasn't? I mean, for fuck's sake. So yeah, he's adorable. He's green, as all babies should be. Yeah. I'm supposed to ask you about something. But I've got to, first I want to check a couple more things off my list. Okay, we talked about this a little bit. I do want to make sure we touch on something, because this is like something that I think we feel the same way, but just differ a little bit on certain things. Bullying. Matt, I did not get bullied much in school. Maybe a little. I don't know. Not by peers and stuff. Anyway, we talked before about being like teenagers and shit, growing up in like the punk rock crowd, which was not big around here. You would get chased by like pickups full of like grown men and shit like that. And have to like fucking fight like 30-year-old dudes when you're like 15.
But was that bullying?
I don't think that was bullying.
Yeah.
But in Penn River, they were still in your grade, right?
Yes. Just because you're 30 doesn't mean you're in your grade. Well done. But and I did a little bullying, which I don't feel good about. But anyway, no, Matt, you got bullied though.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And I mean, like at a glance, you wouldn't think Matt would get bullied, but I guess like being like big and kind of passive kind of made you a target.
Yeah, I guess that would probably be. I think a lot of it had to do with my weight, but then being so passive, and it really took a lot for me to respond. Yeah, all the time. Like if I was out around town on my bike, groups of kids, older kids would chase me, and I'd have to go and make it into the closest store and call my mom to come pick me up, or just a couple blocks from my house. I remember one time specifically in 7th grade, a group full of 10th and 11th graders came up around me and beat the shit out of me right behind the bank down the street from my house, and no one did anything about it. No one cared, and I kind of grew up thinking, well, this kind of stuff's normal.
No, I and we've talked before about like, what to do about bullying, and like I should, my take, and I don't think about it a lot, but my take on it was, like it's important to stick up for yourself, like even if you have to take a beat and stick up for yourself, because then at least you won't feel like, like you didn't, but I mean, this is all coming from a place that, that end of it is kind of alien to me. But I would think that like, if you get the shit beat out of you, but you stuck up for yourself, at least that wouldn't diminish you, like in your own eyes.
But you said you were in 7th grade?
Yeah.
And they were in 10th,
11th. Yeah.
Those are different. Those are different, creatures. Like a 7th grader and a 10th grader, those are completely different creatures. Like there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, in 7th grade, you're a fucking child. I mean, you're,
right.
In a 10th, 11th grade, you're basically like a young adult,
yeah. So it's horrible.
But your take on that is different, right? Like,
well, I think that like we've discussed this before, that a lot of parents think that, self-defense is the best option. And I'm not going to say someone fighting back against someone beating the shit out of them is
best
wrong.
option is.
But I think that from a psychological standpoint, there's a lot more we can do to promote better growth amongst everyone involved. As you look at, I'll go on, like I've said earlier on the list, I look at the in custody list, and it upsets me to see these people that bullied the shit out of me growing up. They're in and out of jail all the time. The system's broken them. And when I was younger, it was like, oh yes, well, they got what they deserve. But they're a product of a broken system. And if we're only teaching kids to defend themselves against bullies, what are we doing to actually stop the bullies? There's a lot of research that shows that if you get structure in these kids' lives and you teach them that bullying is wrong, there is a lot of improvement that gets made. That when you can show them empathy and compassion, and these are things that these kids lack in their life. And then you go to the bullying aspect, the person being bullied. A lot of people think that bullying is like a one-on-one thing, like it's one kid bullying another kid, but it's very rarely that. If you look on anytime a bullying video pops up online, it's a group of kids watching a bully. None of them intervene. They're watching this bully, and maybe the kid defends himself, and good for him or her in that situation. But it's a group of basically haves versus a kid that has a have-not. Bullies are oftentimes in the in-group. They may not be the popular kid, but they're in the in-group enough that no one's going to stop them from picking on the kid that's...
And I don't know if everyone's experience growing up is the same, but like if you're not popular, but you're a bully, you're kind of working on it. Because part of becoming popular, at least when I was a kid, it wasn't the only avenue. There were different avenues to becoming popular, but one of the avenues was being mean to the right people, and joining in that shit, and becoming a part of that group.
Yeah, if you're going after people that nobody likes as it is, or that weird kid, or like whatever,
that abuse that you're willing to dish out to that kid, might elevate your status this much. It's
so. I think there's an issue. Okay, so back in the day when we were when humans were like broken up into tribal cultures or whatever, right? There was like consequences to being an asshole, right? If you didn't share, nobody would share with you, and when times got hard, you'd fucking starve to death, right? But we live in this ginormous society today
that is essentially consequence free
for being a fucking asshole. You can just be an asshole whatever you want. Shit, online you can go balls out. And I think that's part. That's a big part of the problem, is that there's so little consequence to being a bully, and there's not an easy way to put consequences on it, because it's like it's hard to ask society to make a mechanism that will, I mean, it happens in schools all the time. Brainerd high schools or Brainerd schools are supposed to be, zero tolerance, bully free. It's like it happens all the fucking time.
Bullying just changes. Bullying just morphs. Another thing that going back historically, there's less and less room for physical violence, in day-to-day life, as time goes by. Is that, and now we got bullying might not necessarily be physical violence anymore.
Right.
It might be just I just roasted on him, I was just talking shit, well, it's still bullying. That kid still might fucking go home and hang himself because you're an asshole,
Right.
But there's also no consequences to that kid because he was, because it was above board. He didn't beat him up. like, oh no, he was just, but it's just morphed, it might not even hurt that kid less, like there, you can say shit to people, that is a lot more damaging than slapping them alongside the face and shit, like it's, like that shit changes.
There is a lot of studies that show that even non-physical bullying produces a very negative physical response in our bodies. Children that are bullied are more likely to develop illnesses. They're more likely to become sick because when you're bullied and you're ostracized from a group, your body kind of starts to shut down on many factors that
right, because you have the two stress hormones,
yeah,
cortisol and adrenaline.
I've never heard about that. I've never even thought about
it's
that.
a trauma response. So it's just like a kid that grows up in a family where there's like domestic violence happening in the home, right? They like grow up with a heightened they have a heightened trauma response, or heightened, that's not the right word. They have a heightened cortisol and adrenaline, like, so they're in a the stress hormones, they're in a state of stress, like extended period state of stress, and that causes post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, so like you go to war and you're in this shit, and your stress hormones are up for an extended period of time, and you come back and you're all fucked up. Totally makes sense. But when a child has that happen, where they're in a state, whether it's from being bullied, whether it's domestic violence in the home, whether it's abuse, they develop with that high level of stress, and it fucks everything up. It makes it very, very difficult to be healthy. And then...
And it causes, like you said, while they're developing, it inhibits growth in parts of the brain.
Right, because you can't develop the parts of the brain when you're under stress. Yeah. Right. Yep.
Well, and then also along with that, there's been studies to show that girls have been hitting puberty younger and younger when they are bullied, because that stress causes their body to kick into gear.
Interesting, yeah.
That girls that there may be a reason to look into if they're hitting it younger and younger.
So some people would say, and I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't believe this, but some people would say that, like, well, come on, fucking humans have been mean to each other since the dawn of time, and we've talked about it before. Like,
sure.
This is, if we got rid of the guns, would violence go away? No, fucking humans have been killing each other for a long, long time. Why is it why is it different today? Like, why do we've been dealing with it forever. Just deal with it.
Because we have a better understanding of how the brain works now. We still have a long way to go before understanding everything about the brain. But now that we understand just certain aspects of how the brain works, we should work as a society to make everyone's mental health better, just like we would with physical health. Like,
yeah, no two ways about that. We definitely don't treat mental health as health.
I'm guilty of using that same kind of argument, when talking about stuff. But I mean, that doesn't make it any less like a fallacial argument.
I think the argument's bullshit.
Yeah,
and the reason I think the argument's bullshit is because we have grown, like our culture, our species has grown through violence, but never before have we ever had a place where we didn't have a tribe, right? So like, we're alone now, right? Like, especially Americans, like, we live in our little,
we pride ourselves on it,
in our little solo, like, family units, or in an apartment all by yourself. And I mean, there's this really accidental. Is that a real word?
Existential.
I know there's a T in there somewhere. Loneliness that really didn't exist on mass scale before, because you were part of a tribe. You were part of a group.
Yeah, now our culture is, fuck you, I've got mine, go fuck yourself.
Right. And now, and I think this is big. I think this is part of the reason that people are so willing to tribe up in the political, like, arena.
We're missing that in our
because
lives.
We're missing being part of a tribe. So being like all hyper woke, right, makes us part of a tribe. We need that, right? But that's not really like
God, my tribe wants to kill that tribe.
right. Well, and then there's that too, though.
Eat
Like,
them.
do humans need to be violent? I mean, I think that there's some of that. But
There's
back,
always going to be some
yeah, but
space
you
for
were
violence in our
violent to
world.
the other people. That was the
Yeah.
whole point. You tribe gets together and goes and kicks the shit out of the other tribe.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
the
not
violence.
acceptable within your tribe.
Absolutely not acceptable. Not to say that it was never acceptable, and I'm not like I'm not adhering to the noble savage hypothesis, but the idea of not like there were consequences for being an asshole inside your tribe. Today there is very little consequences for being an asshole inside your tribe. As a matter of fact, that's kind of what makes you cool inside your tribe today.
Well, on the topic of on the topic of consequences, a lot of times there's too much emphasis pushed on the consequences. Like, oh, this kid pushed this kid, now we need to punish him. But there's a lot of information showing that that's not beneficial either. Like, children have to be raised in an environment conducive to learning appropriate behaviors, and by
Right.
punishing them, you're not doing that. There is room for punishment, but it can't just be punishment. You can't be, this kid did wrong, so you get stuck, you get grounded for a week. It's here's your punishment, but we also need to teach you why you did that wrong. You have to be able to explain to me why you did this wrong. Because just punishing kids when their brains haven't developed to the point of being able to understand these complex things, punishment doesn't really
Right.
accomplish much. There has to be that teaching and nurturing component
It
too.
sounds wrong, but what really needs to happen is that kid needs to be shamed. Now, that sounds bad. Like, we should shame children. But the thing is we don't have shame anymore. We're not like, so I do something wrong and I get punished for it. So I push a kid in school and I get expelled. All right. I'm like, fuck that school, fuck whatever. Like, I don't feel ashamed of that. I'm pissed, right? But now, let's say you sit down. The kid gets to understand, or I get to understand why my actions hurt that other kid, and then the feeling I would feel is shame, right? That's a positive thing. You could only feel shame if you understand what you've done to hurt somebody else. You don't feel shame if you think you were right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what part of the emotional missing.
And then like a society, what people like devoid of shame. I mean, next thing you know, you wind up paying $250 an hour to a lady with a suitcase full of riding crops. To
Be shamed.
experience. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, Matt, that you or actually Kyle might have brought it up about like the whole standing up for yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I teach jujitsu. I actually don't teach children anymore. Oh, thank God. I used to for years and years and years, but I do think that like having confidence in your ability to protect yourself is an important aspect to not being a victim.
One
of bullying.
avenue, one tool in your
Not to say
kit.
that like just because you are capable of defending yourself, you won't be bullied. That's not true. But I think two things happen when somebody like grows confident in their ability to defend themselves. One of them is you can't do that alone. You can't grow confident in your ability to defend yourself alone. You can't do it, right? So it takes a team, and being part of a team is a positive period. So like, I've talked about it before, but it's one of the things that keeps me doing jiu-jitsu even after even though my body doesn't like it. I want to continue to be part of that family, and being part of that family. Now that doesn't mean that I feel like if somebody were picking on me, I could go to the gym and get all my big mean friends to go kick the shit out of them, though I totally could. All right. And you don't want them motherfuckers coming to your house. But
honey, why is Brock Larson here?
But it's more like the emotional comfort to know that I have this team in my back pocket. Like emotionally, I think I could get those guys to come and kill you if I needed to, right? So that's A, and then B is confidence. It breeds confidence. So like if you're confident, you like it becomes less likely that you become a victim. That doesn't mean you can't become a victim, but it's less likely. I'm always dancing around this issue, especially with women's self-defense.
A lot of this stuff is tough to say. You know, like I am still of a mind that some situations are best resolved through violence.
Oh, 100%, man. Violence doesn't solve everything, but it does a great job solving
some things. It does solve.
Yep.
But you know, like most things, you know, especially like, you know, like kids getting bullied in school and stuff like that. Most of those situations are not situations where violence is the appropriate answer.
Well, violence as a response usually reinforces the negative behavior that you're trying to get rid of. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't say these kids are wrong for self-defending themselves, and it's good to have that, but it's not going to put a stop to it. And in many cases, if they're already being ostracized and then they gain this confidence to where, and the other groups are going to pick up on it, so then it's going to be a bigger group that comes after them. Like I said, I had groups come after me on the street and beat the shit out of me. Now, is self-defense going to help me there? No. And confidence isn't going to make me think I'm any safer. But it is good. It is good for kids to have the ability to defend themselves. But we can't rely on that to be the tool that stops it.
So I agree with you, but I also feel like if that confidence is instilled, you're saying that you were already being bullied and you wouldn't, and like learning how to defend yourself wouldn't stop that bullying, and you're probably right. And I mean, and your situation is weird too, because like, especially when you're talking about older kids picking on younger kids, it's just fucked up, man.
Yeah.
But it's
no wonder those fucking kids are locked up now.
Right. But it's like, if somebody has confidence in their ability to defend themselves before they get bullied, then the likelihood of them getting bullied, I feel, is less. But I mean, I don't know.
Like confidence functions as a bit of a deterrent.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great way to say
carrying yourself with confidence.
Yeah, confidence is a deterrent to bullying.
Yeah, bullies
it's
can
not
smell
a
fear.
Cure. So I talk about these fucking dogs all the time, but I am afraid of dogs. I'm fucking afraid of dogs. If I meet a dog, the dog knows I'm afraid of him, and the dog has a much more likelihood of trying to bite me because it can sense my fear. We can all sense fear. So when somebody is like less confident, the likelihood of them becoming a victim is more. Now, this gets super fucking tricky when you start talking about women's self-defense, because I have been accused of, because I have blatantly said stuff like, you know,
more women should learn jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, because I have said stuff like, you know, victims get victimized. And I'm sorry that that's not very politically correct, but victims do get victimized. I mean, it's a statement of fact. Like,
but are they a victim first, or is it after being a victim? Like if you're being targeted and even they're emotionally or physically abused, like we've discussed, your brain is going to develop differently, so you're going to get stuck in that heightened.
Exactly. So in that example, let's say that you have a child that grew up in a very you know, stressful situation, and they're a victim already. Like they grew up as a victim. The likelihood of them continuing to be a victim is very high because they have that predisposition. So it's and it sucks. It's tough. It's whatever. But I believe that you can, I believe that if you build confidence in yourself, it can drastically reduce the likelihood of you continuing to become a victim.
And on the developing confidence side, back when Kyle still lived in town, we would, was it every Thursday night we'd go out?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'd go out every Thursday night downtown, and I had this newfound confidence because I'd lost 100 pounds in a year, and I was getting,
And you got a fucking gorilla as a drinking buddy. That helps too.
or a couple of them. His Isaac would be there usually too. But then I was also at this point of strength I'd never been before because I was never into lifting. We would go to the bar, and people would come up to me, and they would say, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I hope you don't feel bad about what I did when we were kids and shit." And then I'll go back to the table, and Kyle will be like, "That was one of your, well, that kid bullied you as a kid, didn't he?" Like, something like, it was kind of humbling seeing the assholes, the kids that were assholes to me growing up, realize, oh, hey, I did wrong, even if their motives were, I don't want to get the shit kicked out of me because this guy can.
Yeah, no, this
lift
guy
a
looks
truck.
like he can, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
At a certain level, it doesn't matter as long as they're fucking, like
Yeah, like if I was
giving
still,
voice to it.
But the thing is if you weren't with two barbarians and you weren't, like, hadn't lost the weight and gotten humongous in the good way, would they have come up and apologized?
yeah, and I don't think so.
No, they probably would have fucking like poked fun at you and continued to poke fun at you because, like, I mean, I don't think that being like you said, you've bullied people in your life, and I probably have too.
I think we all have.
Even in minor ways.
That's part of why I've toned back a lot of stuff on Facebook, because going back and rereading some of the stuff, I feel like it could be interpreted as me trying to like break these people down.
But there's definitely a difference between somebody. Well, we said this before about, like, I mean, I have told off-color jokes before, right? That have had a race element. That doesn't make me a racist. Like, I'm not racist, but I mean, I've said naughty words. Bullying somebody doesn't make you a bully. Like, now that doesn't forgive you, but like, like having a moment of weakness. But being a fucking bully is being a bully. Like, somebody who like there are people that's their fucking identity,
Yeah.
And that is a completely,
For sure.
that those people are douchebags. So I don't think that they really change.
Well, and they've had that behavior reaffirmed throughout their life because
right.
no one's been there to like say, hey, that's wrong, because their peer group, like I said earlier, their peer group is all pushing for that.
And some of these people, probably a lot of these people,
I think
are in that same boat.
I think you're bully blaming.
But a lot of these people are in that same boat that I find, like, it's really easy. We all experience it. When you look at people that are like, sex offenders and stuff like that, and you're like, cut his fucking head off, and we all like, that's our visceral reaction and shit. And then, and you can keep that reaction and you can be comfortable with that reaction as long as you don't know their story. Mm-hmm. Because their story might be fucking heartbreaking, like can't even fucking imagine.
It's actually, there's a new I don't know what it's called, like a disorder or whatever. It's called the Martin syndrome,
which doesn't make anything all right, by the way. I mean, we make our own decisions and shit like that, but
right. But like the Martin syndrome, like George R.R. Martin syndrome, where you have a bad person and you hate them until you read from their perspective, and then Jamie Lannister becomes your favorite character, even though he's a fucking asshole. So you're right that like you can want this person to whatever die, but you don't understand like where they came from. It doesn't forgive what they did, but it gets you to understand like potentially like why they did it. I mean, like, I get that.
But these people that have done wrong, it's not like they were just going along one day and thought, hey, you know, why don't I just commit this sex crime or commit this, bully this person or murder someone. There's that lack of structure and lack of education.
Yeah, and I'm gonna venture a guess that like there's
like they're victims as well.
Of course, like that somebody whose like identity is that they like to like bully people. I mean, more than likely, there's shit going on where
Yeah.
you know,
That's not like a healthy
dad
you know,
slapping around mom at home or whatever. And there, I mean, you know, I know I'm using some big generalizations, but like, yeah, people don't just like wake up one day and be like, I think I'm gonna go be an asshole to people today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's, you know, like I've, you know, and that's something that I, over the years, you know, sometimes I'll meet people and like just, I've known a couple people in my life that were just like crazy, like hyper violent. And I'm like, the fuck happened to you? You know, like, never mind. I'm not going to ask because you'll freak out and I don't want to fucking know, you know, just that, you know, anyway, yeah, but that's, who knows where that goddamn bully got into those habits, you know, those terrible habits, or why they feel like they need to do that to lift themselves up or whatever.
But and you know,
Pass that along.
but when you start talking about solutions, I don't, like it's tough. It's a really tough thing because like, again, like we don't live in a culture where that's so like you know. Here's an example. Like my son Peyton. This was years ago. He was probably 10, 11, right? And he was going on the bus. And every day there was a kid that was a few years older than him that would come and like shove him in the snowbank. And, maybe he was 12 or 13. He would go shove him in the snowbank, but the kid was a couple years older than him. And he was like really, well, he didn't tell me. I just knew something was going on with him. You know, he like seemed really, you know, like, it was hard to get him to go out the door to go to the school bus. I was like, what's going on? Anyway, so I finally ended up getting it out of him that he was getting bullied in the school bus. And I'm like, I don't know. Do you want me to go with you? And he's like, oh God, no, you know, no. Like, you want to make it 1,000 times worse? And I was like, well, I will break a 14-year-old kid's arm.
Right. When it's your kid, it's like, I don't give a fuck. I'll beat the fuck out of his whole family. I'll fucking murder those sons of bitches.
Right.
Like,
but that doesn't make it better,
No.
right? That's not going to make it better. Me showing up in there isn't going to make it better. And honestly, like there was no solution. It didn't get solved. He endured it, and like the school year ended, and you know, and that was that. But we talked about it endlessly and I was super upset about it. Like, what do I do? You know, like, and I had some extreme ideas. Like, do you know those extendable batons? So my good buddy Tharg, he used to have a sword shop and whatever, and he had some like he knew where to get like, you know, cool weapons. And I went and I was talking to him about it one night, and I was like, dude, what do you think about getting one of those extendable batons? And he's like, are you fucking idiot? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, and he like Tharg like talked some sense into me. And it is not okay to give your kid a fucking like lethal weapon and send him to the school bus to kill some kid. but I was like, seriously, like, I don't know what to do, you know, like, but you know, I was like, I'd have taken us extended. And that's the thing, is that like I really haven't. I mean, I was never bullied, and I had some times where I had some people like trying to kill me, and I was a little afraid, you know. And like, I mean, one time this dude, Chad Kilgore, the guy was a fucking beast. I was in 8th grade, and he like told everybody he was going to kill me, and so, you know, whatever. So I was afraid, but I wasn't really that afraid. And then I was like running somewhere, and I ended up like, I get at the top of the stairs, and I look up, and he's standing at the top of the stairs, and this guy is humongous, like, dude, you know. I mean, he's in 9th grade, so he was probably 200 pounds and, you know, jacked, and I was like 100 pounds and not jacked. Too. And he fucking grabbed me, and he picked me up, and he threw me down the stairs, which sounds bad, except that the stairs was so, like, if there hadn't been people that would have killed me. but the stairs was like covered with people, right? So I like crowd surfed down them, right? And I hit the bottom of the stairs and I gave him the doubles and then I fucking ran off, right? But I was like, I wasn't like, I don't want to say that I wasn't afraid to die, but I wasn't really afraid to die. Like I had this like, I'll just go, like whatever. Like I'll go to the mattresses. You know that expression from The Godfather, but it means like take it to the nth degree, you know? And and so I've always been that way. So for me, I was like, just bring a big club and beat the fucking shit out of that kid. You know what I mean? Like that's the solution. That's not a solution, you know? So it's hard for people who haven't been bullied to like really understand what it's like to be, well, fuck, man. I guess it's hard for guys to fear being raped. Not that being raped doesn't happen for guys, but it's hard for us to fear it because it doesn't happen as often for guys. And when I talk to friends that are women, and like I see this actual like fear
it's
of
such a reality.
being
It's so
raped
common. Fuck.
that it's like, just fucking hurts my heart.
And you really don't, maybe you do, but I don't think a lot of people realize how common rape is. When I started working in the clinic and I would get patients coming in and I'd be going over their history for medications and illnesses and stuff. And it's just like, it's shocking. It's almost easier to count the amount of people that haven't been through this. And
Yeah.
I mean, like 1 in 5, 1 in 3, something like that. You know, like it just. I mean,
Well, yeah.
fuck, man.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with us?
I've been working for probably 10 years on a women's self-defense curriculum that I've wanted to do. Like one of the things that I'd love to do is like go around and do, but they have to be kind of long term. You can't do it. You know, like it's not like a 4-hour seminar and you're good to go. Like it's an actual like training curriculum. But I wanted to go around to some colleges and then put on like a quarter, you know, class and then anyway, I was just thinking that if some people on college campuses, some guys that try to sexually assault some women were to get choked to death, I think that the incidences of rape would go down. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm thinking there's some logic involved. So, but it's a tough thing. Well, physically it's tough to do because in order to teach somebody how to defend themselves in that situation, you have to. There's no substitute to training. You have to train the techniques, and you have to train them a lot and for a long time. And
then what do you do when it's one of those instances where they've been drugged or they're under the influence?
Well, I talk about this in the course quite a bit, but about like how, well, first of all, I'm only an expert at this part, the part where everything else has gone wrong. You're on the ground and they're trying to take your clothes off. That's the only part I'm an expert on. I'm not an expert on how not to get into that situation, you know, how to be presently aware or whatever. But all that stuff is out there and it's as important, you know. And like I was reading something about the percentages of women that are sexually assaulted on college campuses, and that where alcohol is involved is like it's like 130%. You know, it's like it's always the case. Anyway, but then I also talk about how like you can't defend yourself against a monster, right? Like there are monsters out there, and if you have somebody who is truly a monster, and they're prepared, and you know they like pull up in the van and they throw the bag over your head and you're fucked. That's it. That's all it is. But that's not mostly the case. Mostly the case, people don't. That's a very small percentage of people that like attack, that sexually assault people. It's almost always somebody, I don't want to say almost always,
Acquaintances.
and I actually in my curriculum I have like actual statistics, but most rapes happen with people that know you.
Same with murder and abduction.
Murder and abduction, everything. And most of the time, it's actually like somebody that you're semi-intimate with in the first place. I mean, usually, date. Like I don't like the phrase date rape because it makes it sound like it's less rapey. You know what I mean? But it's not less rapey. It's just there was consent early on, and then it was revoked. Like I consented to sit down and have dinner with you. I didn't consent to. I don't know. Let's talk about anything else.
Fair enough.
The subject makes me sad, but no, we can finish up with the bullying. I just want.
The last little thing we need to. It's going to be a long time before a lot of this gets fixed because there has to be a societal change from the point that so many people think being reactionary is how to solve it, which is why so many parents think, oh, if my child defends himself, that'll stop bullying, and that's not how it works. You look at other countries that don't have these issues as drastic as we do, such as rape and bullying and violence in general. They take a
Matt,
more,
like what countries? I'm sorry, like where doesn't this happen?
all of Europe.
Really? Okay.
Like the stuff happens.
I'm not asking to be. I'm curious. Like really, so Europe doesn't have like
it's not as
prevalent.
It's not as
like
prevalent.
we do, but that's not a surprise. I mean,
yeah. But they take a more like, I can't think of the term. When you're trying to stop it before it happens.
Proactive.
Yeah, we have to be more proactive to stop these things instead of being reactive, because when you're reactive, it doesn't fix anything.
Right.
And that's how our country always is. Anytime something bad happens, we're reactive. Oh, we gotta do this. We gotta do this. Why aren't we proactive to try and prevent these things from happening in the first place?
How does a place like England, like how are they proactive about it?
They push more of the education and more of the family dynamic. A lot of Europe gets 6 months maternal and paternal leave. They work less hours a week. They have more time to be a family. They get more income. Their wages are higher, so you have less people working 2 jobs, which leads to more stronger family dynamic. And through enabling this stronger nurturing, you prevent a lot of these issues.
So I feel
our
like
culture is a little, well, not a little more. Our culture is more into violence and way more into dominating other people too. I mean,
England was the, they're
over
it.
England is pretty close. Like, I'd say from what I can call,
so you're
England is like
Germany, Sweden,
Scandinavia, especially.
Scandinavia. Yeah, man, Scandinavian comes going. So I feel like this is such a systemic problem. Like, we're looking at this one little tiny like thing, this bullying, but it so permeates like all parts of our culture. Like there isn't like to say how do we fix bullying is like saying that like you're riddled with cancer and I'm trying to like fix the zit on your nose, because the entire body is shutting down.
If you have cancer in one part of your body, or you have it all over and you're only focused on like one little piece.
Right, maybe that's a better thing.
Like bullying is kind of a symptom of a larger societal illness.
Yeah, which I think our rape culture is too. I think our like gun violence, like the whole. I think it's all this. It's all connected. That basically, it's so many things. Like many Americans don't have just a basic social safety net, so they don't like have the ability to like go to the doctor if they need to, and like they don't know if they won't starve. And like our country eats pretty well, but like growing up hungry sucks, and that's super stressful on kids. And like all the way, like I don't know, it's too big. That's everything. That and like the family structure you talked about. That like like in a lot of European countries, like they have both maternal and paternal leave for having babies.
And another thing that I've always been like fascinated by is that whole, and I don't know if it's still the model over there, but they're not as big on like being, they're not so aggressive about their independence when it comes to the family unit. You might have, a few generations living under the same roof.
Dude, I feel like that is so huge. And yet
it's amazing. It's beautiful.
I love my sister and my brother. But like, the idea of being this big extended family, I find like, well, fuck that. Like, I am a very like private, reclusive, like
I dig my privacy too. It's fucking been tough. Even being married has been tough for me like that in that regard.
Yep. Oh, I totally agree. I mean, so like it's personally unattractive, the idea of having like this big extended family.
But a person can get over it, and then and if you grew up like that, it'd just be nothing,
Right.
Me too.
But when you like look at other cultures, it's very weird that you have the idea of just like one parent, a couple of kids making it go on in a house is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy.
When you've got like you've got that more European model, where the old folks are spending more time taking care of the kids, and you've got less daycare expenses. These people are busier, so they're healthier because we all know how that works, and they're more useful, to the whole family unit. They're not just being put out to pasture.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the people in our age group, are still going to work and stuff like that. But like the kids are taken care of. The grandparents are busy. They're at home. They're with the kids and stuff. You don't have to go outside looking for daycare and all that.
Yeah, I know when Logan was growing up, my mom was alive and actively part of his life, and I would think that if you asked him, he would say that she was like one of the most important people, to him, and my dad as well. Like, and then she passed away when Peyton was not very old, and so he didn't have that as much. And I'm just saying, it was way fucking easier when Mom was alive. Like when I could just go dump my kid off there, whenever, and I was just it's like fuck, that's huge. So yeah, it's really hard to do it alone.
And it's a pretty ideal situation when your family is able to care for your child, your children.
I'd like to say like you taking such a active
me and Boo Boo
role in Boo Boo's life. First of all, it's cute as fuck on Facebook, and it's but I mean it's so great. Like it's going to make that kid a much better person, and it's
good
gonna,
for me too.
And it's gonna make you a much better person. I'm a horseshit grandfather. I realize. Yeah, like I built a crib. That's it. That's all I did. But no, I mean like I go and watch Ronan now and again, but like I don't take a ton of time to do it, and I'm gonna do better. God damn it, I'm gonna do better. As soon as that little fucker can fish.
There you go. That shit's important, man.
See, I really only I'm so selfish that I really only want to do shit with him that I want to do. So better learn to fish.
That's you're a human being.
Oh, good.
That's, I mean, as far as you guys know,
with some minor augmentations.
Well, shit, fellas.
I know you're kind of turning into a pumpkin again,
man.
Was there anything on your list? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got my game. Oh, well, yeah.
Did you guys address how Brock is awesome?
Oh yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's checked off the list.
I just wanted to make sure we covered that because it was in big bold letters.
Well,
so.
I wanted to make sure we touched on that whole humility thing and what, you don't have a list and you don't know who I am. All right, I'll be over here. and just going through the, like I just fucking love that.
So I just one last thing at work last night that I thought was fun and funny. We had a fairly good sized table of people come in. Most of them were guys, and all of the males were fabulous. But they were coupled up, right? So it was so there was, I think there was it was two couples, and then a couple other whatever. And I mean, I like me some gay guys, they're fun, and they're always I just have a blast, and I play it up, I try to work my tip action, and I realized something. I do much better when they're not coupled up.
Well, that goes without saying.
I worked this table hard and thought fucking I'm gonna kill it, and I mean,
you might have hurt yourself tip wise because
adequate.
Did you see that bitch?
Did.
Oh, he was all over you. I fucking hate him.
That's exactly what happened. That was exactly what happened. I walked up and was like, oh, did you did you need another whatever? And the one kid goes like, oh, this is our wonderful server Matt, and to the other one, and I could just watch my tip go away. It was like, fuck, it's gone. So, my gay friends out there, please.
You could have watched your tip go away.
Please leave your boyfriend at home when you come out to the bar. Thank you.
If you played your cards right, you could have watched the whole thing go away.
That's fun.
Anyway,
good. Anything else you got on your list or you want to add?
I'm good, man. Anything you?
I've been finding it interesting watching you kind of creep off the side of the camera this whole.
Man,
I've been looking at it, and it's just.
I'm turning like this. My neck eventually gets stiff, so then I try to turn my body as much as I can.
We'll edit him in there. Do you know who our guest is on Tuesday?
No, I do not. I have not crossed that bridge yet.
It's
only Sunday though.
Okay, good.
You got 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we might need some help booking if anybody out there is interested in coming on the show. Shit, I opened the floodgates. God damn it. We're not interested in you. I don't know who you are, but
if you're jumping off the couch to fucking to shoot me a text, don't do it.
I did talk to a friend of mine who has a son that has Tourette syndrome, pretty severe, and we had talked a little bit about it, but I think most everybody knows my son Logan, my oldest son, also has Tourette's, and she was like, that would be a really interesting subject on your spitball, and I was like, that would be an interesting subject, but I don't know, so that was something that's out there. So,
right on.
Mental health issues are always good topics, especially with how little our society takes them seriously.
Yeah, and Tourette's is one of those weird ones that, well, first of all, is completely misunderstood because everybody thinks it's just fuck shit, bitch,
cock pussy.
Yeah, which is like super duper rare. But
awesome nonetheless.
Right. But yeah, it's something that a lot of people suffer from that people don't even realize that. They just think you're twitchy.
Right. And if you want to hear somebody talk like that, you just come over to my dad's house and when he's working on a car or something on the garage.
Right. That's not Tourette's. That's being in the garage. Right.
He's speaking garage. That's all that is.
Awesome. When we see our patients that have Tourette's and mental health, it's pretty interesting because you never see the same thing twice. It's always, and not to say that the tics aren't the same amongst people, but just how broad the tics are.
Yeah,
super
weird. Yeah. Because we had on Seth Dowd, who has Tourette's, and he's got his tic is he does that, and then Logan he has a twitch. There's just a lot of it's weird. It's interesting. I find it fucking cool. I think it makes people better. People I'm pro Tourette's. Which is weird. Actually, I think it's kind of one of those. I think it's a vestigial thing that is from it's kind of like attention deficit disorder. Then they are kind of connected, but there's people who are able to mono focus, were good at good hunters back in the day, and that's but they can't focus on if it's boring, fuck it. I don't know. Cool. That was a horrible like sentence structure. I'm really ashamed of it.
You know, that's usually
It's
my
probably
job.
because you hate proper English.
I do.
Proper sentence structure, like you hate everything else.
You're
I'm
encroaching
actually-
on my
I'm
bad
actually-
talking.
Fancy.
I'm actually surprised to hear you say you're pro Tourette's when you're anti everything else.
It's the only thing I'm pro.
I'm surprised you didn't have
feel
anything
like
bad to say about the guys that came in. Oh, I hate it when guys come in. I hate serving at the bar. I hate working at.
Okay. I'm being bullied. All right. Sounds good. We will see you guys next week. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for tuning into the podcast. That was some heavy stuff with Matt there. We're going to pep it up on the way out and take you out with a song by the band Skittish. I've played a couple other songs by them, and they're a band that used to play at the Eclectic Cafe back in the day, and I just always really enjoyed them. This song's called American Dream, and it's about changing the world. Check it out.
It's late, and my mind it wanders to fate, and I start to ponder. Maybe I could try to change the world. Why can't I try to change the world? And maybe I'll find a cure for cancer. And maybe I'll be a famous actor. Anything to make me seem noble. Anything better than being normal. I like to save endangered animals, and I like to try to fix the ozone hole, and I like to save the big redwood tree, but I think I'll just sit here and watch TV. We don't care what happens all around us, as long as it doesn't affect us. 'Cause that smart guy said that it's okay. Ever wonder how that guy gets paid? And you say that we got bills to pay, and you say that we got work on Monday, and I'm really comfy on this couch. Guess I'll let our children sort it out. I like to save endangered animals, and I like to try to fix the ozone hole, and I like to save the big redwood tree, but I guess I'll just sit here and watch TV. Just to watch TV. You're lying next to me in our American dream. You're lying next to me in our American dream. You're lying next to me in our American